Welcome to my little video accompaniment to making your own fabric beaded bracelets. There are a few parts of this tutorial that make a lot more sense in video than with just pictures and words, so I wanted to show you those parts. So, first is actually making the fabric beads. It's not that hard, but you may get a little messy, but hey, it's crafting, right? So, you need a bamboo skewer. You could also use a pencil if you wanted a really big bead, or maybe even a toothpick if you wanted a tiny one, but the bamboo skewer really seems to work best. You need your little fabric strips and some glue. I really like this fabric fusion glue for this project because it's non-toxic. I don't feel scared when I get it all over my hands, and I can wash it up. And it dries pretty quickly. It dries clear and flexible. It doesn't leave really a weird sheen like Mod Podge can sometimes, and it is waterproof, so you don't have to worry about wearing these bracelets and getting them sweaty and having the glue leak out all over you. That's kind of gross. So all you need to do is take your fabric strip and get some glue and put some glue down the middle of your fabric. Now you could use like a paintbrush or something if you wanted, but I just use my fingers and I sort of coat that whole piece of fabric, mostly the front, but then also the back here on the end. Then you want to wrap your fabric around the skewer. Wrap it loosely. If you wrap it super tight, it's not going to come off, and then you'll have to unwrap your bead and re-glue it. So then just press it in place. This one's actually a little bit too loose, and then slide it off, and then leave it to dry. Now I do have a lot of beads that I've already finished. This is what they look like when they're dry. You may have little stringy bits. That's okay. You can just come along with a pair of scissors and trim away those little icky stringy bits. And you can also cut the beads to make them smaller. So you do want to cut back here towards the jaws on your scissors. They have a lot more power there. So just come along and put it back there towards the back. You do need to make sure your beads are completely dry before you do this, or else you'll just end up smushing them. But there you go. So I'll make a couple more, and then I'll show you how super easy it is to string them onto some stretch cord, and then also a technique for knotting the string cord. So I'm not going to do a full bracelet, so I'll just use those few. Now your stretch cord, it's really hard to see there because it's clear. You need at least a couple inches more than your wrist. That makes it way easier to tie. So I actually usually just cut a whole lot because that's way easier. Then when I'm actually making a bracelet, I put a little piece of tape over the end like you see in the picture, but I'm just going to string a couple here and then tie a knot to show you. You don't even need a needle. The beads are big enough. The cord is thick enough. You can just, thread them on like that. Now, stretch cord is notorious for being difficult to tie, so let me make sure you can see this cord. I'm going to try to put these beads sort of behind so it has some contrast there. A type of knot that works really well is sort of an extra loop on the square knot. So a square knot, you just make one overhand knot, like you're tying your shoes, and then a second one on top of it. Well, for this knot, we just made one overhand, right over left. You do it again. You go right over left a second time. See that extra twist in there? Then we're going to come along and we're going to go left over right, left over right a second time. So there we have that. And then you tighten it down. Now, stretched cord is still difficult to work with. Sometimes it'll try to snap on you if you pull it too tight, so don't be like, because it may break. This knot should hold. I personally don't really trust stretched cord to hold ever, so what I like to do is put a dab of glue on that little knot. Now I'm not going to do it on this because this is not a completed bracelet, but what I have been doing is taking a dab of the fabric fusion glue, trimming the ends, putting a dab of the fabric fusion glue, and on my completed bracelet, actually pulling that knot with the glue on it inside a bead to help keep everything in place. I did that on this bracelet here, so you don't have any little ends of that stretchy string hanging out, and also that knot is going to be a little bit more secure because it has glue on it and it's inside a bead. So there you have it, the actually rolling the beads, stringing the beads, and also tying that knot. Really the most difficult parts of this tutorial, but it really is pretty easy. You just have to be willing to get a little glue on your fingers and wait a little while for those beads to dry. Then you can have several fun, sort of great for summer boho sort of bracelets to wear.